Okay, for those who are watching the recording, I'm so sorry, but you missed the first part, but now you have it, the live demo. So hopefully that makes sense though. Okay, so you want to install it inside your folder, right? So you're gonna go insert your client folder if you've named a client. Now you're gonna install the package, right? Just npm install Axios. Just let it run. Okay, so once it's done, right? Now that means you can import it correctly. So it's not going to give you an error when you run files. So the next step, we just as I said, you define the server URL, right? So in my case, in the environment, I had done the 4000. It's going to, when I run the command for npm start and stuff, it's going to start on the localhost 4000 port. So whatever like that is like for you, whatever port that is for you, just have that over here in your server. Then we defining our API object, right? So for now, I'm defining a get purchase because this is gonna basically get the information from our right here, create purchase, get our information from the form. So basically, and you just want to return that to that address, API purchases with the URL. Okay. And obviously you want to export it so you can import it in the other files. Any questions? Yes. Okay. Thank you. And yes. npm install Axios. So still library Axios over here. Any maybe just okay. There you go. Is this better? Okay, cool. Also here, too much. Is this better? Okay, cool. Any other questions on what this is? He'll get the lights, but yeah. Any questions on this? Yes. Okay, so if you remember in before for a front end, we had this client folder. Inside we had the source folder, and then we had all these folders, and just inside the source, you want to create a new file called api.js. And then if you go in Discord, you can just copy paste this in for now. Does that answer your question? Oh, okay. Okay, if you're not here last time, then just pull from our repo, just so you have the backend set up. But yes. Okay. I guess no one else has any other questions. So an activity for you is to create the API object function for get purchase. Create purchase now, because so it's gonna be pretty similar to get purchase, but it's gonna be create purchase, and you're gonna have a different route for it, obviously. And since you wanna basically post it, you're gonna have a parameter as well. You can call it payload or whatever you want to call it. And we'll walk around and help you with that if you have any questions. Yeah. Also, if you don't understand what I'm asking you to do, just raise your hand and yeah, so basically what we're gonna do is, since we have our get purchases method in API, right? The function, you're gonna create another function, but it's gonna be for like creating the purchase. So right now you have a function to get it in your view purchases, but you don't have any function to get your purchases that's entered in the form. So basically it's gonna be another similar function. You're just gonna have another parameter inside as well. If you like remember in over here, it's kind of similar to this. So you have a parameter that's being passed in. You still have your route with the server URL, and then obviously this time it's gonna be like create a purchase or something, and then you have your parameter payload or whatever you name that parameter. Is that clear? And Daniel, I'm still lost. Just create another function, essentially, is what I'm asking. Yeah, just below the get purchase, just create another function, create purchase. Please send right to the one. And it's hard to put unselected. So there's some options like a big play. That's probably why it doesn't get on the definition. Oh, I should be please make that still oh, and we're just so if you're getting an error for your function name, it's like shows the red line. Maybe because you're missing a comma after the previous function.
Yeah, it's bad. That's not like syntax and I
Yeah, it's actually
so you need something on this is one of
how our application will respond to certain.
Um,
Basically, like,
Yeah.
we're gonna use all the elements in its snap. If someone really is a customer, it's the.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah. I think the same with our scaling and United.
One thing I forgot to mention is for your route, you want to make sure it matches the one we defined in the server. So if you remember in server for a backend, we had an API folder. Inside that, we created this index.js file, right? And so for Get, we had this over here, we had purchases. So that's what we're using. We're using purchases, right? For Get. So that's how it's gonna connect. And then you just want to make sure it matches. So in this case for post, it's I think it's purchase actually. This one's old, but yeah, just make sure it matches the one you have in your API for server. Yeah.
Is this a post or get request though, right?
I guess so.
Yeah.
Well, this one is post. They did again.
So
It's not. Right, so if you think about
Okay.
so with get requests, you're like getting data, right? So you can have any parameter, like passed in here. Or when you're reading the data, like you need to pass in some data to send to the server. So,
Yes.
what you would need is like, you need to, like, for example, in your. I don't know where. In your server. Right, so you expect a field called purchases to be in the body. So when you line it, you need to make sure you're sending that.
But
It's like a purchase data. In your.
just an example.
So what that means is
So
basically.
basically,
Like split purchases, into your create function. So we go back to the.
and we're basically.
Yeah, you probably have. I think it's if you like. And like actually, that's all that's to call into this. There'd be payload and you cover over. You'll see like what.
So we're gonna specify.
It's a little hard to read, but just the first parameter is the URL. And then data is what you have. So that and then you're gonna be writing code that uses this.
Yeah, it is the same. Okay. Yeah, it's the same.
They can. As long as the. So can I like the message like like if you're saying like automatically like maybe the convention is like each your operating on purchase data. So you kind of
Is everyone good? Okay, that table's good. How about the rest of you? Is everyone else good? I'll give it one more minute.
yeah, I guess I mean. So they want. You have to get your, when the procedure is over class, and then we want someone to. And then, I know it's like.
Okay, I think most people are done, so we'll just go through what I have. So this is what I have. So you have your create purchase function, right? Inside, I'm just passing in a property called payload. Then you're similar to the get purchase, right? You're gonna return it, but instead, as I showed with the slide, you're gonna do a post type. This time, since you're creating it, you want to post it. So you're using post instead of get this time, and then you have your server URL that matches with the one you had in your API for backend, which was also purchases. It's the same. So there you have. Oh, wait. So there you have that, and then comma, you pass in the parameter. Any questions? Okay, cool. I was gonna put this in. And make sure you don't forget the comma there. Yeah. So now you have your API file set up. So what we want to do is use this API file in our create and view purchase indexes, right? So in create purchase, we're gonna import API from the API. Okay, then what do we want to do? We basically want to use the function that we just wrote. We want to call this one. But in order to do that, we still have to set up a couple of things. So I am going to give this to you just because of timing, like because we do want to give you more time at the end. So here, first of all, we're basically going to initialize some data, which is going to be pretty empty. I was going to give you this in the Discord as well. So you have it. Okay, so go in Discord and just copy that in to your create purchase over here at the top. Inside your create purchase function. But yeah, and then I'll give you a minute to do that and I'll walk you through what I'm doing with this. It's in Discord as well, by the way. Right here. Okay, so we also want, if you remember, we had this line before for on submit for a button, right? But we're gonna get rid of that because we're defining that here with just a different name. So I'm just gonna get rid of that one. I don't need it. Now, first of all of this is basically creating an empty example type, initial form data. It's just that you're gonna use to pass it in over here to update it. The way, if you remember over here, we have all the text and everything. So you have your name, you have your description, location, and everything. But if you someone types something in these text boxes, right? You wanna get that information. You wanna, it changed, it updated, right? So what you're gonna do is handle that change in the text boxes, because previously it was empty. Now it's changed because it has some text in it. So you're gonna create a function called handle change. And E is just like an event. The event is that something was entered in there. So then you're gonna do update form date. You're gonna update that form data, just object. Inside that, you're using this form data. What is this form data? It's just a variable name that just used with the initialized form data. And yeah, since we're also using use state over here, we do have to import that as well. So in the top where you were importing React, you want to import use state as well. Use state just uses that state, like the state it's currently at, you're gonna use that. Does it make sense though? Okay, cool. So you're updating the form data, and then this is just to trim white spaces. You don't really need it, but it's just better to have the white spaces all trimmed out so it doesn't look ugly sometimes, depending on whatever they typed in. Then you're gonna handle the create purchase, right? So this is gonna handle like the submit button essentially. So you have the event. The event E is basically the event that someone clicked that button. The button was clicked. That's the event. Now you don't want the default things. So you want the values that were in there and the text boxes that people wrote in. So that's where you're just gonna prevent the default for the event. Then the request is just the target of it. That all of this is just gonna get the data that was entered in the text boxes. And this is just logging stuff in to our inspect element stuff. Like if you go into inspect element and just run stuff in, you're gonna see that in the console. So let's just do this. What do you want? A keyboard, I guess, since like right in front of me, you're here. Then I was gonna say new keyboard, UTC. Let's say I just bought it on Black Friday, whatever. I got a really cheap one and I used my credit card. So before that, I'm gonna do inspect element. So if you go in console, right? In your console, you're gonna see this. So when I submit the data, it's gonna log all of this information in. So what is it logging? So first of all, I'm saying to log all the data, essentially like the payload is what we have from our API, right? Like you had that payload in. So you're gonna use that and you're gonna log that in over here. So that's what it's logging in. It's gonna log in whatever you entered as like a string, like objects, like a list essentially. Then I'm also just like logging the request. Like the request was the button being clicked. And lastly, this is really not needed actually. You don't really need to do that one. This was just logging the event itself, and that in React, like this is the event itself. It was like clicked. Okay, and then this line is basically going to wait for this to run. So you're okay. This part API.createPurchase.payload. That's how you're calling it, right? You imported API. Now you want to use some of the things we defined in API. Right now, in this case, in create purchase, you want to use the create purchase function, right? So you're going to call the create purchase function with the parameter payload, which has all the form data, right? So you're going to pass in all the forms data and you're going to wait for it, the backend server to finish running. That's why, and because if it didn't wait, then it would just give you this created successfully before even finishing it. So you want to wait, and since you're using a wait, it's an asynchronous function. If you remember asynchronous functions from our JavaScript workshop. Yeah. Now, and lastly, you want to give the alert that it was created successfully after you know for sure it was like sent to the APIs. And that's why once it's done, it gives you that message created successfully. Any questions on all of that? On handle create purchase or handle change or the initial form data? Yes. Use so use data is thing that's in React. It's like if you just search about documentation, right? It's just something that's gonna get the state of the object that's coming in. Okay. Any other questions? Yes. It's more of a syntactical thing, like, yeah. Just more syntax, yeah. Yeah, you will see like like the way you're trimming white spaces, like this is usually not like seen in the other languages, right? It's just like more of a JavaScript thing like that we mentioned before in our JavaScript workshop. It's just the syntax mainly. But yeah. Huh? I'm not sure. We could give it a try. I think it wouldn't probably, but yeah, we could give it a try. Let me stop the other ones though. Yeah, okay. Yeah, it's not gonna finish running, but okay. I'm gonna not learn. Okay, yeah. And I'm not sure exactly what happens, but I'll look it up and let you know what happens, why we need the data dots exactly. But yeah. I just looked up online tutorials and like just documentation, and it's like part of there, so yeah. But okay. Anyways, any other questions on the 3 things we have so far? Yeah. The imports, yeah. But any specific one or just all of them? Yeah, okay, so this is more of a syntax thing. So like before we only imported React, right? Because obviously we're writing everything in React. So we imported React first. Now we want to use a thing that React has, like a function itself. So that's called use state. So we want to import that use state as well. This is just syntax to put it in brackets and a comma after it. If you have more than one thing imported like in the same line, just like just put it in curly braces and use a comma. So like if you also wanted to import something like use state, use effect or something, you just put a comma and keep it in that list. And that would import it. Yeah. And then the importing style sheet is just the styling of it that we had, and we just imported the API so we can call it over here. Okay. Any other questions or? Okay, then since we have created these things, right? We created these functions called handle change and handle create purchase. But over here, this is where the website itself sees. So over here, for everything that we have, for the names, for the description and everything, we want to handle all these changes, right? That we have. So what are you gonna do is on change, it's just a thing that's there. So on change, you're gonna handle that change. So in the input type, at the end, just enter the on change, handle change for everything. On change equals handle. This is basically over here. So in our website, right? If for the text for name, you want to handle the change that was inputted in that text box field itself. You're using the functions that we just defined above. So it's gonna, now, since we have it in here, it's gonna get that text that was entered for the name. It's gonna handle all the changes. It's gonna update the form data, and then you're gonna get that change over there. And now I want you to handle the changes for the description, location, the date, the cost, the method. So handle the changes for all of that, the rest of the fields that we have. Any questions? Yes. Yeah, okay. Should I just leave this here for everyone? Okay. Is everyone clear on what they need to do now? Just raise your hands and we'll walk around.
You need to put it later. Yeah, exactly.
Okay, so I think everyone's good now. So basically you have the handle change for all of them. You just entered it at the end for all of them, for description, location, then the date, the cost, you just enter it at the end, just like you did for the name. And then for the method, since it's like a select options, right? You're just gonna put it with select because that's where you're selecting it. That's where it's changing. It's gonna be in the same line for select. Any questions? Does anyone have any questions? Or okay, no. Okay, so lastly, what we want to do is we haven't used our handle this create purchase, right? That's handling all the things with our button. So in our button, we want to handle that. So we're just gonna do so it's gonna do it like when it's clicked, the button is clicked, you're just gonna handle the create purchase. You're gonna call that.
Yeah. So what? So this being followed by that's why, yeah. So probably. And that's why anytime I find it,
Okay. Is everyone good? Okay. Now we've handled all the API routing and stuff for the create purchase. Now we wanted to display, right? So now we're just gonna use it in for view purchase as well. So now in our view purchase index file, we're also going to import API. Again. And then I'm just gonna give you this code as well, because and go over it. Basically. Yeah. The submit button. Okay. For over here, you're just gonna add this. So when it's clicked, you want to call the handle create purchase. So you want to handle it by getting all the data in the method that we defined above. Over here for submit button, I just added this on click. So once it's clicked, what do you want to do? You want to handle create purchase. You're going to call that function that we defined above. Oh, yes. Yeah. I renamed it, if you remember. That's why I removed it above, because above it was this.
so this.
Okay, so if you go in Discord, I added a view purchase method. So you're gonna copy paste that in your view purchase index file right here, just above when you're returning. So if you go in Discord, just copy paste this in here above return. And then I'll explain it. I'll give everyone a minute to do that, by the way. Okay, so what is this doing? This is just similarly, since we're calling use state, right? We have to import it here as well. So import it above at the top, since we're using it. Then another thing we're using is use effect. So after use state, put a comma and do use effect. Okay, so what is this doing? This is just basically gonna get all the purchases that you have. So you're gonna call the API thing that you created, right? The get purchase. You're gonna end up calling that. But then you're gonna wait. This is just JavaScript. If you remember, like the then thing, it's gonna. So if you once you call it, then you're gonna get the response. Then I'm just like logging this. So when basically over here, like if someone submits a purchase, right, it's gonna log it in the console. It just log it. You don't really need to, but it's just usually used for debug purposes and stuff like that. So you know it's being logged. Then you're just gonna set the body with the data from the purchases. This is just so inside responses, it has all the data, and the data has the purchases that you defined from the create purchase.
Yes.
Any questions on this? Okay, then, and since we're using the variable body, before, if you remember, we were mapping the purchase data that was hard coded. But now we're getting all the data from our API, and that one we're using for body. So instead of purchase data, we're gonna replace it with body. And we also don't need the index here. Because, okay, the reason why we did that is because body stores all the data inside now. That's what it has. Because you're setting the body with it. So this is body, you're setting the body with the responses, the data from it. And then you're gonna map that, and this is what we have from before. Any questions on this so far? Yeah.
Wait, so we originally had it for return, started in the concept, can you take it out?
What content are you talking about?
Review purchase.
Wait,
Sorry, I just put here.
Maybe we space. Is that something?
oh, you have to, okay. Are you talking about this, right? The view purchase, and that just had the return, right? I think you pasted that above the view purchase. You have to just put all this inside the view purchase. Like above return, but inside the view purchase that we defined. Yeah. Do what again? Okay. So, any questions on this? Okay. Only you had a purchase data over here that you're mapping to that was hard coded. That's what we depend about. But now you want to use the one from API, which is called body. So just change that purchase data to body.
Wait, yeah.
Never left the user again.
Okay. Any questions? Okay, now I want everyone to run it. So just cd into your client folder and then do npm start and just test stuff out.
It's not. Yeah, so body it's learning all the So we also oh yeah. And this state, like, let's say if it breaks it down, and you state that you state and started
Yeah, it's not.
Because you're not the data. Yeah, so I think
Are you? Yeah, I'm running the backend.
You need to run the backend too. Oh, they need to run it as well.
Okay, to test it, so to test your stuff, like the reason why some people it's not submitting is because you actually run your backend as well. Like, so just open up another terminal, then cd into your server. And then you want to make sure your backend, like your server is started, because the server is the one that's going to store all the data. But if it's not started, it's not going to store the data that you enter. That means you can't submit it. So in the front end. So just do npm run dev inside. And just enter that in your server. And then you can go back to your slide and test it.
What do you mean?
Let's start.
If you got everything, it's workshop.
I just.
Sorry. Yeah, like, kind of thing. Oh, no, that's wherever you're gonna.
Oh. That's what's fun, because we wanted yeah, like, I don't think so. They just can't do that. You know, I mean, you don't put the calculus, so did you make that's the files for the. And so.
Yeah.
So this part should be evolved. Okay. There's something that we back to something. There's no money.
Yeah.
Let's stop everything.
Okay, yes.
Yeah. Model, yeah.
Go for it.
You probably want to do models.
Oh.
We need to find that. So.
No. Yeah.
And.
It should all be in the GitHub repo, by the way.
They're working.
So it's still. For now. We like to.
No.
If you were to. We're connected to a new like Wi-Fi. So what's the case? Is it working?
No, I just.
Start script for. Oh, yeah, or you can go see it. I don't. That's not. I think. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
There's a
Yeah. Oh, hide the feel free. This is a server.
Wait, so they have to run this index.js?
They don't have to run that. There's
Or
you run dev and server.
so, but does rendev run this one?
That
Wait, is there a backend?
They're not on the. I don't know what actually. Everyone does the same thing.
That's it. Okay, I'll go back. Okay, everyone. So like if your thing is crashing, that might be because you guys were in the IP, right? So the IP address was different. You only define that specific IP address. So go on your MongoDB account and you could just do the 0001. So it just whitelist all of them. Or you could just add this new one that you're on currently. That's why it's crashing.
Oh, so it's the next upgrade. So now you're running a different server onto. Okay, so you can do it in a different window between one and also running. Yeah.
You can do that. I mean, now it's fine.
The only thing we're missing is.
You can allow access to any records. It's not. Whether like that, it's not like.
Okay, cool. Yeah. Did you really see? You created an environment. That's the example. Then that might be.
Oh, never mind. Oh, this is crazy, but it is literally something.
Somewhere.
There's like a place. Yes. So it is. Oh, yeah. We're not.
Right, just saying, yeah. So lots of it is the, and we're having it would be insurance, they have like a kid line. Let's go back now. Maybe. Wait, they just gave them, that's exactly what there's something along like the server. Always. Can you jump back over to you? Server is not. Oh, so I think some of the thing is. The guy is like. Unlock the server. Yeah. So the parents are did you install this? Oh, it was like. That's not very nice. So, So that's what
So I think this is. Yeah. That is very sweet.
Dude, I don't want to. No, I just. Okay, if you like. And like basically basically like
One thing I miss is everyone's supposed to make this.
Yeah.
Especially because I don't know if I understand.
Yeah.
Really quick, can you check what's the server URL supposed to be?
Server URL is the local host where
Localhost dot colon 4,000.
well, for me it is because that's where my server starts on, but their server starts on a different port, so that number. The number their server starts on.
Yeah, this.
They were seeing yes, but I think it's
And at the end of the series, I was not yeah, that's fully. Yeah. Oh, yeah, yeah, it is. I'm looking for the next. I didn't. I think I made this for the last recordings. Not to the last one. I mean, it's in. Oh, yeah. It's. People like no one else. Yeah. And there was one person. Yeah. It's still very nice for you just
I think it's probably, it's not. Practice, we're not thinking about getting a referee. Because I'm. Yeah. So this is going to be the inside of something on so here we have the 89 galleries that is yeah.
So
That one is up here, is it? Okay,
would you move just?
which one were you in though?
I'm in solutions.
No, like what file were you in?
Oh, this was in.
You put this in? Okay, that one has,
It's a loss in right?
yeah,
Also, yeah, maybe we just get rid of the purchase data because a lot of people are getting confused.
okay,
Could you push what you have right now and then I'll just tell everyone how to look at that.
Okay.
It's like 7:40 right now, so I don't know if you want to just finish up with it or.
we wanna finish them, see? Or I could just, just look at it up here as well, I guess.
So, what do you think we should do? Here? Because I think a lot of people are just having the same issues. Because first there was the Mongo thing, and now it's like, I think they just weren't able to kind of follow some of the stuff.
Okay,
So should we just say that we'll have the code up?
let's have the code
If you
up.
have questions about it, like, feel free to like let us know.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, everyone. It's like 7:41 now, and we do want to cover some other stuff. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna push all this code to GitHub, and then you can check out the repo and compare your code and see what you might be missing, or like there might be some syntax thing or something wrong. Then, but yeah. And if you have any questions after, right, like after looking at the code that we push, just message us in the Discord and everything. We'll help out. So does that sound good to everyone? Okay. Then there are two.
That's your.
Yeah. Okay. Okay.
Okay, guys, it's 7:45. We do want to eat your food, and we do have like a couple of things left. So I think what we're gonna end up doing is, I think a lot of you guys are having like the exact same issues.
Is it the trying to return from front end on new purchase?
Maybe.
It's not purchases, it's purchase in the array, so it's response.data.purchase.
Try that and see if that fixes it. But basically what we'll do is we'll push all the code to the exact same repo, and you guys can just like check that to see if there's any differences, or just copy it in. And if you have questions about it, you can just like message in the channels, in the actual channels, and we'll like get it sorted out with you guys. But there's just like 2 more things that we need to cover, like non-technical, don't worry. And then we'll get you guys your food, and then if there's still questions afterwards, we'll like stick around, we'll like help you guys out. But basically that's our application, and I think some people did get it working, which is nice. But that's basically what we set out to build this quarter, and we kind of achieved it. I think you guys hopefully all like at least learned something about it. So we just wanted to go over like potential improvements, because the point of this project was to like show you guys how to build a full stack application, but there's obviously improvements and like changes that you can make. So we've implemented what's known as our MVP, or like our minimum viable product, just like business talk. Basically, this is like the minimum thing that we wanted, like the minimum functionality that we want, right? But there's a couple of improvements that you can make. So for example, if you want to filter by the type of purchase, like if you want to filter by cash purchases, crypto purchases, whatever, you can like look into implementing that. You can look into implementing one exact same entry. So like if there's something that's already existing in your database, you don't want to re-enter that. You can look into doing that. Some more general goals, like other API routes. So I think some of us were like kind of looking into that, right? We built the CR part of CRUD. We built the create ability and the read ability, right? But we didn't build the update and delete. So if you guys are interested in kind of getting into making it so it does all 4 functions, you can look into creating API routes for updating purchases. Maybe if you want to update like the date or update the amount or whatever. And also deleting purchases if you don't want them in your database. That's more of like a backend thing. If you want to do like more front end stuff, you can build more UIs. Like one idea is like a pie chart style breakdown of like where your spending is based on like your location or like how much you're spending or whatever. Another backend thing is like authentication, right? If you want this to be like secure, you can look into protecting your API routes and building a layer of authentication so you have to sign into it. And then I guess if you want to make it live, you can also deploy it. Heroku used to be like a really popular free option, but it's not free anymore. So I'm not really like a deployment, like DevOps person. So you might have to like look into alternatives, but if you want to deploy it so that it's live for everyone on the internet to use, then you can also do that. But just some more like general updates there. I'm just gonna go through this stuff really, really quickly. Basically, hopefully everyone's like has some familiarity with Git, but these are the commands if you want to push your project up to Git so that everyone can see the work that you've done. You basically just need to add all your files, add a commit message, and then push it, and it'll push to your. If you guys remember, you all forked a directory or like forked a repository at the beginning. It'll push to that forked copy, and it'll be on your GitHub account, and you can like link that to like your resume or your projects or whatever. So these are the commands. If hopefully everyone has like the slides open, you can kind of follow this. But if you need help with this, just let us know and we'll help you push stuff. If you guys want to add the project to other places, just to like let you guys know like a little bit of a pro dev moment here. you guys can add it to the LinkedIn project section. So there's like a project section at the bottom where you can like add, and it will ask you for like the link to the project, the description, and you can type up a quick description about what you did and like the functionalities that you built and the technologies that you use. And then you can also put on your resume. I think I have an example on the next slide of just like a project. We have an ECM sample resume, and this is like what a project would look like. So you can add this to your resumes now that you've done a project, and you can talk about what you did, the technologies that you use, and any like quantifiable things if you were able to, you built like, if you implement multiple functionalities, you can say you built like 4 or 5 API routes to handle various functionality, like CRUD functionality, basically. So that's something that you can do. And then just kind of like a plug, we have Brandon, I think he's in the back over there. He's our pro dev guy. So we're gonna have like a LinkedIn workshop, I think, some sort of LinkedIn event, right? And then we're gonna have our like resume review event as well. So if you guys want to add it over winter break and then come back and then make sure it's like all good, then definitely do that. Come out to our events. Other than that, that's it. So congratulations, you guys have done software engineering, and this is like, thank you guys for coming out to 6 workshops. I know I see some familiar faces of people who have come out, some freshmen over there who have like learned their first like JavaScript. So hopefully you guys learn stuff. I know it's not working for everybody, and we'll try our best to make sure that it's good for everybody. So like we said, we pushed the code, and you guys can always just look at that and see what the differences are. Otherwise, we'll stick around for a bit and kind of help people out. I think it might be small changes because I think some people over here got it working. So hopefully it's not a big thing. But yeah, congratulations. Feel proud of yourselves. You guys built a full stack application. So yeah, congrats. And then the last thing before we give out food, the very last thing is future hack workshops. So Hack School was kind of our only like school-based like workshop series kind of thing. In the future, we don't really want to do something like this where you have to like come to previous workshops. We want to make it like very self-contained so that if you miss one, like it's fine and you can always come to the next one. So we're doing an intro to Python series at the start of next quarter. So weeks 3 through 5, from 5 to 7. I don't know which day.
You'll know the details.
Yeah, you'll see it on the website. But we're doing an intro to Python series. So if you're interested in learning Python for I know it's popular for leak code, slightly like less popular is like data science stuff. Like if you want to get, if you want to learn Python, then we're gonna have an intro to Python series, and then we're also gonna dive into some more like backend topics, APIs and SQL and like databases. I feel like those are pretty popular topics that people don't really learn about in their classes. So that's kind of what we're gonna be getting into next quarter, and that's TBD for when it is, but you'll see it on the website. And the last thing is this link. So if everyone can go to this link right now and fill it out, because we want to do like topics that you guys want to see, like technical topics that you guys want to see, or workshops on whatever. So fill this out. There's some like pre-existing options there, but also put in like one of your own options if there's a technology that you have heard of that you want to learn, or something that you're struggling to learn. Feel free to fill this out so that we'll kind of like gauge what you guys are interested in and move forward with that. But yeah, that's pretty much it. We will figure out how to do food. We're not gonna have everyone swarm in the back like last time, but
We'll just go table by table.
I guess first let me ask, is anyone like strictly vegetarian here? Because we have a limited vegetarian thing. So if there's, I'll let the vegetarians like go first, and then we'll let the rest of y'all go back there. But yeah, thank you guys for coming. Stick around if you have any questions, or if you just want to chat. But yeah. Good. Okay, I'll
What our first ever. Yeah, I mean. Yeah. And that's where you can like do the. This is like this is workshop like new membership like or like and then like and so like we just like I'm kind of sad. Not a snake, but he'll definitely doctor and yeah, it's hard to play out, but yeah, it's like a more and yeah. Yeah. The average
You're able to create one.
I think that's,
Yeah.